All right. Good evening, y'all. This is day 15, and we got an Iron Man story. Time warp teamwork. Tony Stark has built a machine that lets the Avengers travel through time to fight crime. But when you mess around with time, there's always a risk that something will go wrong. Time warp teamwork. One day, while the other Avengers were training, Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, was working on some new tech. Sometimes Tony felt very different from the other Avengers. They all had superhuman abilities. Well, except for Black Widow and Hawkeye, but they didn't really count. Their combat skills were way beyond what any normal human can do. All Tony had was his Iron Man suit. When Tony got to the training room, the heroes were messing around. Tony scratched his head. What am I looking at here? Come on, Stark. Line up. We're all just waiting for our next mission. There's no crime to stop right now, said Hawkeye. So that's where you superhumans fall short, thought Tony. Time. I can fix that. Over the next few days, Tony worked on combining specific elements of his Stark tech to create a powerful new tool. Before long, Tony Stark had created a time machine. Tony suited up for a test run and stepped onto the time machine. Jarvis, set time for 2099. Calculate crime ratios and synchronize the coordinates, he commanded. Yes, sir, replied Jarvis. Just like that, Iron Man was zapped to the year 2099 where the Chitauri were attacking a group of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Iron Man sprang into action, swiftly taking down the Chitauri with blasts from his gauntlets. When they were defeated, Iron Man hit a button on his wrist. He was back in his lab a few moments later. That afternoon, Iron Man called the Avengers into his lab to reveal his amazing new invention. But Captain America didn't think messing with time was a good idea. Iron Man's temper flared. No kidding, old man. I don't take being a superhero lightly, unlike some people. Captain America's eyes narrowed. How does everyone else feel about it? This is a democracy after all. The other Avengers thought about fighting crime in whatever time period was a good idea. Here are your missions, said Iron Man. Black Widow and Hawkeye prepare to travel to 1840, Jarvis announced. The pair were suddenly outside Buckingham Palace, where Queen Victoria was under attack. Using their stealth and speed, the heroes took down the attacker. Then, with the push of a button, they were back in the lab. Captain America, Hulk, and Thor battled evil robot wolves in the year 4029. Arroo! Thor howled. After defeating the robots, they zapped back to the lab. It's kind of funny. Those are Nova Corps members in the background there. Soon it was Iron Man's turn. The time machine rattled violently. Too violently. Iron Man arrived in the year 1792. A masked man came around the corner using his blasters to destroy a local village. Iron Man and the masked rider, fired their weapons at each other and everything suddenly went dark. Iron Man opened his eyes. He was on the ground. He looked around. Then he saw the villain ride around the corner again. So Iron Man got up and they both fired their weapons again. The same thing kept happening again and again and again. I'm stuck in a time loop, said Iron Man. He had no idea how to escape. Back in the lab, the team realized Iron Man was in trouble. They looked through Tony's plans looking for a way to bring him back. Finally, they came up with a plan. If it didn't work, Iron Man would be stuck forever. Black Widow pointed her gauntlets at the machine, destroying the circuitry. Suddenly, the portal opened onto the strange desert scene. Cap leaped into the action. "I'm coming, buddy." Captain America jumped through the portal and protected Iron Man with his vibranium shield. "Oomph!" the villain cried out in surprise before falling off his horse. The time loop had been broken. As the portal started to close, Cap and Iron Man jumped through along with the captured villain. The time machine was completely broken. Iron Man decided not to try and fix it. "You're right, Cap. Time travel isn't something to take lightly," he said. Cap put his arm around his friend. "Good advice, even from an old man like me." And that's the end to Time Warp Teamwork. Good night.